It was the end of a busy day, and all the engines were finishing their runs on time. Except for Milton the Express engine. He was delayed. "Come on," he called to the coaches. "Come on, come on, come on. Mr. Egan relies on me to be on time." When he arrived at South Plainsville, he realized that he was indeed late. "Never mind," he sighed. "At least after Steve takes my coaches away, I can have a quiet rest in the sheds." But he wasn't going to have that. When he puffed up to the sheds, he heard loud yelling and loud whistling. Khadijah and Larry had gotten into a heated argument. Taylor and Kryssy were trying to calm them down, while Sarah, Jorge, Ian, Bernard, and Roger watched with interest. "Oh my goodness," said Milton. "What are they arguing about now?" Khadijah claimed that it was Larry's fault while she was delayed, so they exchanged a few words, answered Christen. "And unfortunately, she didn't like any of his," added Kevin. "Well, after the day I had, I'm not dealing with this." Milton blasted his horn loudly. That got the engine's attention. "Will you two please shut the hell up?" said Milton. "You're causing a disturbance." "He's right," agreed Tanya. "If Mr. Egan hears this..." "He's already heard it," said a voice. And Mr. Egan came walking up to the sheds, and he was not happy. "Larry, Khadijah, this is the third time this week I had to speak to you about arguing. The passengers can hear you all the way at the station." "She started it," snapped Larry. "No, he started it," retorted Khadijah. "Silence, both of you," snapped Mr. Egan. "Your behavior is unacceptable." He then pondered. "It seems like you two need a lesson in getting along. Tomorrow I want you to go to Otisville and collect a special freight train." "But," said Larry, "I don't want to work with her." "And I definitely don't want to work with you," said Khadijah with an attitude. "It's either you work together tomorrow or you both don't work at all. For a week." Larry and Khadijah quickly subsided and said, "Yes, Mr. Egan." Khadijah and Larry left early the next morning, leaving the engines worried. "So what do you think's gonna happen?" asked Sarah. "I don't know," replied Jorge. "Larry and Khadijah on the same train doesn't sound good." "Shh! Pipe down, everyone," whispered Taylor. "Here comes Ray." "Another special freight train must be picked up from Spring Valley," began Ray. Spring Valley is the Southern United Railroad's secondary connection to the other railroad. "Bernard and Roger, I would like for you two to collect it. The train is heavy, so you might want to take Axel with you." Roger groaned. "But Ray, can't Bernard take the train just with Axel? I'm pretty sure you don't need me." Roger hated being assigned to regular work. He liked maintenance work because all he had to do was sit around all day while the workmen repaired the line. "Roger, there's not a lot of line repairs for today, so you'd be perfect to help Bernard." "Oh," groaned Roger. "Just come on," said Bernard. "The faster we start, the faster we finish." "Okay, fine," moaned Roger. Meanwhile, all hell was breaking loose at Otisville. Larry and Khadijah were still arguing while they're waiting for Temu to bring the rest of their freight cars. "Larry, I should lead the way." "No," replied Larry. "I'll lead. I've been on the railroad longer." "But with you in front, we'll never get there on time." "I'm always on time and you know it," snapped Larry. "But not yesterday. I wasn't late." In the middle of their argument, Ross arrived to add a flat car steel beams to their train. "Oh, here's Ross," said Khadijah. "Ross, who do you think should lead the train? Me or Larry?" Ross stuttered nervously. They were both his friends and he didn't want to pick a side. He stuttered. "I'll pick," said Paul. "Larry, you lead." And he walked away. "Ha!" laughed Larry. Khadijah was furious. At last, Temu arrived with the rest of their freight cars, and Larry and Khadijah set off. Almost immediately into the run, the two began arguing. Larry claimed that Khadijah wasn't pulling hard enough, and Khadijah complained that Larry was pulling way too hard. Their argument was making it harder for their crews. The angrier they got, the rougher they rode. Even the freight cars were getting annoyed because they were being bumped and banged about. At last, they arrived at Sparta Junction. That's where the line of Spring Valley joins with the Southern United Railroad's main line. They have to stop there at Sparta Station to pick up and set out some cars. "Okay, Larry, start rearranging the freight cars," said Khadijah. "Me?" said Larry. "Why me? You're nearest the train." "But you're the leader," said Khadijah sarcastically, "so you should do it. It literally makes no sense. You're nearest the train. It'd be easier if you did it." "But I'm low on water," snapped Khadijah. "Well, I'm low on coal," retorted Larry. If the two engines hadn't been busy arguing and actually came to a compromise, they would have cleared the line. They didn't realize that their caboose was blocking the junction. Then, from down the line, came Bernard and Roger with their freight train from Spring Valley, and they were moving at a very high rate of speed. When Bernard saw what was ahead, he was horrified. He quickly began blasting his horn. "Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" he shouted. Bernard and Roger quickly put their brakes on, but to no avail. The heavy cars just kept pushing them on. The towerman at Sparta Junction heard the excessive horn blowing and saw that Bernard and Roger were approaching much too fast. Seeing that the collision was unavoidable, Bernard's driver and fireman jumped clear and Roger's crew jumped too, along with Larry and Khadijah's conductor and brakeman, who were inside the caboose. Larry and Khadijah heard the crash and looked back horrified. It was a terrible mess. Bernard had crashed into the signal tower. Thankfully, the towerman wasn't hurt. The conductor from Bernard and Roger's train called for help, and soon Christen and Andrew arrived with the breakdown crane. Larry and Khadijah were nervous. They knew Mr. Egan was on board, but Mr. Egan wasn't on board. It was Tanya. The two engines gulped. Tanya's message was bleak and blunt. "I have told you, Egan has told you, the other engines have told you about your constant arguing, and now look what it's caused." Larry and Khadijah felt ashamed. "Look," continued Tanya, "I know you two don't see eye to eye, but you two must work together. You work on the same railroad. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't work as a team." "You're right, Tanya," agreed Larry. "We're sorry," added Khadijah. "Now," said Tanya, "Egan told me to tell you two that you two will stay and clear up the mess while Christian and Andrew takes your train on." So, Christian and Andrew were coupled up to Larry and Khadijah's train and took it onwards. And Larry and Khadijah worked as a team to clean up the mess. And because they worked as a team, they were able to clear the line just in time for the next passenger train to come through. Once the line was clear, Larry and Khadijah took Bernard and Roger to Harmon Works. When they finally arrived home, Mr. Egan came to see them. "Even though you two initially caused the accident by your arguing," began Mr. Egan, "I'm proud about how you worked as a team to clear the mess up. Well done." "So, are you two going to start getting along better now?" asked Jorge. "Well, no," answered Larry. "But," added Khadijah, "we will put our differences aside when it comes to getting a job done." "And you know what that makes you two?" smiled Kryssy. "No, what?" they asked. "Really useful engines." And Mr. Egan, Tanya, and the other engines agreed.